I'm going to share a video from Elder Christofferson. Maybe some of you have already seen this. If you have, I love it. And I want to, there's been some questions that have been asked about, trying to find your career. And this was really good. So let me find it here, and we'll just kind of use this kind of as our spiritual thought. Okay. When we talk about career path, this is what I want to share. I'm gonna have to take the AirPods out here for you to be able to hear the video. So hopefully you'll be able to hear it. And then Fillmore, when I start playing, if it doesn't work out, let me know.
Just one endeavor. Sometimes we don't make it clear that there's not just one course that fits everybody, and not just one endeavor or field of endeavor that is appropriate for 100% of the people. And so I hope that you, as you think about moving forward, some of you, many of you, I guess, are already on a path. Remember that there are options, there are choices. Some people go into professions, some people go into the military, some people go into the arts, some people go into the vocations and the crafts and the trades, and all of those are excellent choices. It's just that we need to grow from where we are as young people, as youth, and continue, as President Nelson talks about, in lifelong learning. We have to prepare ourselves. We need to prepare ourselves. It's a religious obligation, he said, so that we can be of service to other people. It's not just for our own edification, our own income. Those things matter. But really, we want to be of service in society, in the church, and in the broader society. So I want to emphasize there's no one profession, no one occupation, no one training that's best for 100% of all of us, but each of us chooses a path, and we can, as you said, we can change it as we go along. We learn. You're not expected, I guess is the way I should say it, to know everything at the beginning. It's you don't see the end from the beginning, and sometimes it's just give me this day my daily bread. I need this day, and now move to that step, and then see where we go for after that. But that's okay. You have to know it all.
Well, I love that. Did that come through okay, the sound, Belmore?
Yes, it is.
Great. Well, that was something that Elder Christofferson posted yesterday, and I love, as we look for our daily bread, that we choose professions, we choose careers, and a lot of times I get asked the question as to, what is the right path? There is no one right path for everyone. And once you recognize that your path is unique, your skill sets are unique, your opportunities are unique, it will help you in that decision-making process. Sometimes I've met students who are paralyzed by not moving forward because they want to find that perfect path, that perfect journey. I'm kind of that same person, personality-wise. When I'm in a shopping center and I'm driving to find a parking lot, I will keep driving around until I find the perfect parking spot. And sometimes I take more time driving around trying to find that perfect parking spot. Whereas my wife, she will just take the first one and she'll just walk. And if it's a long distance, she'll walk it. And so same thing with the journey of finding a job, finding a career, finding something that we love, is that we don't spend too much time trying to find that perfect career, that perfect pathway, but find something that you do enjoy, find something that you are good at, and then make it the best opportunity. Part of that journey is going to include other people around your life. My journey, my career was largely influenced by people that I came to know along the way of discovery. And we're going to spend some time today talking about networking. and finding opportunities to I don't know, to kind of increase our chance for um, having a great career and good jobs. What I'd like to begin with is I want to begin with a question, um, and I want you to think seriously about this. Here's the question. What is the best connection? Maybe not family, maybe not your wife, but or your husband. But I want you to think professionally in schooling or whatnot. What is the best connection that you have made? What has been the most fruitful, the most impactful connection that you've ever made? Now, the follow-up question is, how did it happen? How did you make that connection, your most valued connection? Um, did it happen by chance? Some may say that, yeah, it just kind of happened. I was at the right place at the right time. Um, did it happen because of another person that you knew that introduced you to that connection? Um, how did it happen? Generally speaking, and this is not always the case, but generally speaking, most of the connections that we happen or that we make happen in a very ordinary and regular occasion. As you think about your connections, how did it happen? This is what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about things that we can do to increase the networking opportunity and creating connections. We're then going to we're going to lead into next week where we're going to be talking about um, LinkedIn and some of these, some things that you can do in LinkedIn to improve your network. But I'm talking here very generally and maybe more so about personal connections and creating connections to build those relationships that will be very meaningful for you in your career and in your personal life. Now, first thing I want to share with you is that networking is always about relationships, not transactions. This is an important part to understand is that networking is really about relationships. And because it's not about a transaction, you want to focus on those things, not what you can get from someone, but maybe on what you share or what you can offer as a mutual value. Um, when we think of those network opportunities, you go into a room of an individual, or sorry, a room of people, and you could probably sit in that room passing out your, just to use this example, you could pass out your business card to everyone in that room, and it won't really be meaningful. You've shared your contact information, but you really haven't made any meaningful connections. And so, networking really is about relationships. When I ask people, what is your network? For me, if I were to open up my contact app, I have a list of, I don't know, probably 1,000, 1,200 contacts in my phone. Um, Many of them are with individuals that I haven't talked to in the last 4 or 5 years. They might be work related, and every once in a while I purge my contacts in my phone. But I generally don't delete very many names because there might be a chance that they might call me, and I want to know who's calling me, so I just keep it on my phone. I generally say, as a rule of thumb, a network is really someone that will take your call or return your text message. Um, those are the people that you want to keep in your network. And the reason that they would take your call or return your message is because of that relationship that you have with them. Now, creating connections can really be a little bit tricky, but it's not that complicated. It's tricky because of the maybe because of our personality. Saying hello to individuals, strangers, may be unnatural for us. Sometimes we just let people be in their own space and we don't want to say hello to a stranger. But quite honestly, many opportunities do start with a single conversation. Maybe you're on the bus and you sit next to someone, and a simple hello is and starting a conversation is a great way to find new opportunities. Um, another way to kind of create connections is to go where the people are. Online communities is a great way. I mean, it's a new option that we didn't have a number of years ago. While you're going to BYU Pathway, Ensign College, or while you're going to classes at BYU Idaho, you're going to interact with other peers. You'll have the ability to communicate with them. I know that some students are really good about this. Others, it's a lot more difficult. Um, but it's a great opportunity to kind of stay connected with other people. Professional groups. This is a great way to kind of add value to creating new connections with people that could potentially make a difference. If you're going into a specific profession, find opportunities where you can gather with like-minded, like-interested people. And we're going to talk more about this next week of LinkedIn and using social media. Um, but I want to ask you, I'm going to do another open-ended question. Hopefully we'll have some response here. Um, how do you approach someone? Like, how do you approach a stranger? Maybe it's a networking event, someone that you don't know, they're in the industry. I was thinking back to my experience as a missionary, and you're right. Missionaries, you learn to be bold. You you learn to kind of take a little bit more risk in getting to meet people, strangers. Part of it might be that if you're rejected, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting the Lord.
Right,
And
right.
sometimes it's harder to not have that. So when you said take off the badge, we're afraid to be rejected. Um, we're afraid to say something that we might regret later. And I could totally understand that. That's kind of my personality as well. Um, as Ezra was sharing, one brought to memory one experience that I had while I was at BYU. Um, I was going to get a degree in construction management, and I was part of um, it was a chapter, it was a student chapter on general contracting. Um, and we had this forum where we would invite guest speakers to come in and speak to us from the construction industry. And I can't remember what my role was in this chapter. It must have had, it's kind of a blank right now, but I remember I had the responsibility of finding a speaker. So we took that assignment. So it wasn't one person that's trying to find a speaker all the time. And I didn't have any background in construction management. I didn't have any experience in it. I was trying to get experience, but no one was hiring me for an internship. Um, I spent most of my college years as a custodian, largely because I couldn't find work in my profession that I was trying to get to have experience. I eventually got it, but I had this assignment to find someone to speak to other students in construction management. And I was like, where am I going to find someone? I don't know anyone. I'm not in the industry. Well, I happened to be on the bus traveling traveling somewhere. I can't remember, but um, I went everywhere on a bike, walking, or bus, and so I was on the bus, and at the time there was a major construction project happening on BYU campus. They were extending the library. It was a very complicated construction brought project where they went 3 stories underground to keep the open space. There was a lot of complications that they were building around a tight area with lots of buildings. It was a fascinating project, and I would walk by it every single day. Well, I was on the bus and I was sitting next to this gentleman, and I says, "What?" But he was not a student. Everyone else on the bus was a student, but he was not a student. He was probably in his 40s. And I said, I said to him, said, "Well, you're kind of one man out here. It looks like you're the only one that's not a student on this bus." He said, "Yes, I'm working on this construction project. My car broke down, and so I'm just having to kind of go over here." So we just started talking, and come to find out that he was a project manager for this project, and he was running this job. And I says, "Well, you know, I'm in construction management program and we are looking for a speaker. I think it would be great if we could have someone share more information about this construction project on campus." And he said, "I would love to." That invitation to him developed a relationship that survived past my graduation. We stayed in touch. I'm not in touch with him anymore. It's been many, many years. But that curiosity that I had about why he was there led to a great conversation and to a valued introduction. And so I share that with you because sometimes one way to approach someone is to be curious. I mean, obviously, you want to be considerate of their situation and you want to approach them with some confidence, but curiosity can be a great way to get to know people because you honestly and earnestly want to know more about them. And that's a valuable way of approaching someone is to be curious and to let them know that you're curious. Say, I'm honestly intrigued, or I'm really interested in what you're doing, or I noticed that, um, just find something to be curious and then maybe invite them to something. It's a great way to be connected. All right. Well, let's talk. I mean, we've talked a little bit for the first half of this meeting about creating relationships. I want to talk a little bit about building a relationship, something that you already have. And I'm going to kind of intermix with this a little bit of personal branding. Um, as you interact with lots of people, um, and you become associated with a lot of people, if you ever want to be recommended for a job or you want to be considered for an opportunity, you need to be someone that they trust. You want to find ways to build credibility. Um, and some ways to doing that, which is really simple, is showing up on time, showing up consistently. Um, I I generally like to tell people um, if you're going to be noticed, you have to kind of sit in the front of the room. Now, the virtual part of the room is actually turning on your camera. I know that not everyone can do that all the time because of the situation and meetings that you're at or whatnot. But turning on the camera actually puts you in front of everyone else in a virtual setting. If you're in a physical setting, sitting at the front of the room is a way to be noticed. Now, we may be in a culture where it's not proper to not shouldn't say proper, but it's not natural to want to be noticed all the time. Um, I don't know if Fillmore, when I came to the Philippines, I don't know if you remember, but when we were at the meeting for the open house in Cebu for that devotional, I grabbed you and I brought you to the front of the room. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and I was so like it feels awkward because
I know, right? It is an awkward feeling to kind of come to
yeah,
the front of the
I
room.
don't know those people, but I think it's a way that I have to communicate with this individual. And because of that, I was able to meet Jeff Morin, Brittany, Joni, and those big guys right there, President Ashton, and then the president of Ensign College, President Kush. So if you would have, or you wouldn't grab me in front, I think I would have not the opportunity to meet all of those guys. And I'm grateful. Thank you for that.
Well, and
Sometimes it
Fillmore,
takes
that's exactly what we're talking about in networking. You
right.
helped me, right? So it's not so much a transaction as much as it is a relationship network. So Fillmore and I have been working together for, I don't know, how long has it been now? 8 months around there?
8 months.
So we've been working together with Career Chats for 8 months. Um, Fillmore, I don't know if you realize this, but one of the reasons you got this opportunity was because of your relationship with Lindsay Williams with the previous occasion. I don't know what it was, but your name was recommended for this position because of your relationship with Lindsay. And so, it's just one of those things that just can
Oh,
keep on going. And and so, when I came down to the Philippines in Cebu, because I know you, it's like, hey, I want to introduce you to some other people. And so
right.
the reputation that we have is so important because as we show that consistency, we show up on time, we're a problem solver, and we have that reputation of getting things done, then what will happen is that others will begin to recommend us.
I understand.
I had this experience a number of years ago where I was approached by someone that was looking for a job, and they desperately wanted a job in a very specific field. It was actually, they wanted to be an executive assistant was the role that they were looking for. And but they didn't want to look for anything else. Unfortunately, she was always scattered. She was very disorganized, and she just came from a very chaotic life. I don't think it was of any fault of her own, but it was the situation it was the reality that she had. And she said, "Will you recommend me to a couple of people that you know?" I couldn't because I knew that she was not organized. She didn't have the skills for what I wouldn't hire her to help solve the problems, but she just didn't show up on time. She wasn't organized. I just couldn't recommend her. And so having a reputation is so very important, and reputation of someone that will solve problems is really valuable in networking. And um, if you don't have those skills, those are the skills that you want to develop first and foremost. So virtually and physically, be in the front of the room. It's the way that you get noticed. The other thing that I would say is branding is probably a very important part in our virtual world, especially for those of you who might be wanting to find a remote job or something to where you're not there in person. Um, Networking is all about building a relationship, a personal relationship, and it's really, really hard, quite honestly, to do it online. It's super difficult. It's really difficult for someone to remember when they're looking at a panel. Now, I'm looking here at the screen, as you probably are as well, depending on how you've toggled it, but I'm looking at everyone on the call right now. And let's see, we have about 23 people. So if I take myself out, that's 22 people. Um, and there's probably two or three of you that I've met in person and I've actually shook hands with, and I actually have a connection with you. but the rest of you, I haven't had that opportunity. And so if you want to be recognized or noticed, how do you do that virtually? It's actually really difficult. One way is to participate, and that is really important. It may not be a natural thing to do, especially in your culture, is to kind of stand out and make comments. But if you can make comments, it's a great way to kind of be in the front of the room virtually. I'm going to show you another thing. I'm going to turn my video off and I'm going to keep talking. Okay, so you'll notice that this picture right here that I have of myself is the same picture that I have on my social media, except for Facebook. I have this picture on my LinkedIn profile. I have this picture on my Gmail account. I have this picture on my WhatsApp account. I share this picture because that's the picture that I've chosen to brand myself with. And so when you have an opportunity, here's what I would personally recommend. Find a good picture of yourself. You know, maybe professional or otherwise. Maybe you don't like how you look. Then put a picture of your dog. But the point is that have a consistent picture that's the same across different profiles. Here's the reason why that is helpful and important. You might be on conference calls, you might be in meetings, and you might not be in a place where you can turn on your video. In those situations, what you want to do is you want to spend some time branding yourself to where you're recognized. If I were to look at a resume, let's say I'm looking and reviewing a couple of resumes, and I get an email, and on the picture of that email is picture of their face, their lovely face. And then on the resume, maybe that picture's on a resume. You don't have to put a picture on a resume, but maybe they've chosen to do that. In their LinkedIn profile, it's a picture of the same. Over time, I'll start to recognize this is a person that is present. This is someone that is always in attending my career chats. They want to be a friend on my LinkedIn profile. It's like I trust them. I know them, even though I don't know them that well. And so having a branding, a personal branding of your face is really important. It's a personal opinion, okay? That's not, there are probably a lot of people that might feel otherwise. But my personal feeling is that if your camera's turned off, don't have your name only, show your face. So, you know, maybe on your Zoom call, you can have a picture of yourself. It is important because you're spending time with other people and you want to be recognized in one way or another. And I know that we can't always turn on the camera, so when your camera's not on, have some branding. So, like I said, this picture right here is exactly the same picture that I have on my LinkedIn profile. It's the same picture that I have on my social media accounts. It's the same picture that I have on WhatsApp and on my email. The idea is that if someone's coming in for the first time and I send them a message, they can make that connection. We are visual people. Our brains are made by God to be able to recognize faces. And so why not use that to your advantage? So make an effort. Go through all of your social media accounts, go through LinkedIn profile, go through whatever, and put the same picture. That's probably more important than just a picture, is to put the same picture. So then that way it makes those connections and people can make that connection. All right. Hopefully I didn't spend too much time on it, but I think that it's important.
Did you remember, Grant, one time when we were out in the building and then we call on my wife and then someone from Cebu called our attention and they were like, "Hey, you were at the career chat. I don't
Yeah.
even know them." Something like that. Because I always like wanted to open my camera in every meeting because this is like a personal branding as well. If there are people who wants to connect, they will recognize me at hand. So they pointed their finger to us and they told us, "Hey, you were both at the career chat, right?" And without me knowing, but maybe because they were in the career chat as well, try to listen try to listen our conversation while having our cameras like this. So they kind of like recognize us in a moment or two kind of thing. And then even if I don't know her, but I'm really grateful because of simple opening my camera in every meeting, there is like like an outcome, a product that we're somehow connected in a sense that we're doing an online career chat thing. So that's a pretty neat
It's
experience.
true. It's true. Now, look, my wife does not like at all um, turning on the camera. She hates it. And I get that, and I understand that. We're sometimes we're already self-conscious about how we speak. Maybe our English isn't good, or maybe um, we don't like our hair, or maybe we just don't have a very good camera, and so it comes across really blurry. I get all of that. But you just got to find a way to make a connection and to be noticed. Um, Subconsciously, we start to see people over and over in the groups that we're at. And one of the things that LinkedIn and Facebook is really good at are these algorithms. Have you ever gone onto Facebook and then all of a sudden it suggests you or asks you, "Hey, do you know this person?" And it's like, "Whoa, wait a second. How do you know that I know them? Wait, I can't figure this one out. I haven't told anyone. My wife doesn't even know that I know them. How does Facebook know that I know them?" And I don't mean that in a bad way. But the point is that algorithms have become so good to where they start putting people in front of us that we're kind of surprised, like, wait a second, how do you know that I know that person? And so branding is important and it's a reality, and connections can be endured, if you will, with that branding. So pay attention to branding. From a operational standpoint, I would just say just have the same picture. Just find a picture that you like, and then just have the same one across all of the platforms, so that when you show up, they can make those connections. Anyway, really, really important. And I think that, like you said, Felmore, is that, eventually you get out there to where people recognize you. I loved it. The fact that, when I went down to Cebu, I had some of you come up to me and introduce yourselves, and and I love meeting people that are on the career chat. I know what it means to be here. It takes an hour out of your week. And so when someone would come up to me and say, "Hey, I was on your career chat," I really wanted to get to know you. I wanted to spend time. I have two or three of you who met up with me when I was in the Philippines. And you know what? I put your picture in my journal. I have a journal that I try to keep regularly. I write. It helps me with my writing. It helps me with my thoughts. It provides clarity. And so my children are going to read about you and will see you because you came up to me. And so, these connections are valuable. Okay, as we wrap up, I want to talk about, finding the opportunities for networking and that will help you get a job and improve or your opportunities for better jobs. I want to say that your next job or next opportunity may actually come from a very weak tie, someone that is a second or third degree connection. Someone did an analysis, and statistically, they proved that for most of us, we all are connected by at least a sixth or seventh degree connection. Now, let me explain to you what a first or second degree connection is. Imagine it kind of like a family tree. A first degree connection is someone who you know and who knows you. You have this connection to where you're familiar with each other, you know each other by name. You have that first degree that there's no one in between you. You know them directly, they know you directly. A second degree connection is someone that person knows, that second degree, but you don't know them. So Felmore and I were a first degree, and there might be someone that Felmore knows that is a that he knows really well, but I don't know at all. That would be a second degree connection. And so let's say that I was in the Philippines and I was in a meeting and someone came up to me that I don't know, and they introduced themselves and said, "Hey, by the way, Felmore is my neighbor." Immediately I would know, okay, you must live in this place. That's great that you know him because Felmore knows some great people. And immediately I would have a closer connection with that individual. And so most opportunities, quite honestly, most jobs are found through a second or even a third degree connection. Is being referred to by someone. And so that's where it gets to be important that you let people know, even that are not in your industry, if you're looking for work, if you're looking for opportunities. I started a business 10 years ago, and I'm in a business that requires a lot of capital to start a company. And I didn't have the capital. And so when I left the company that I worked for to start my own business, I needed a lot of capital. Banks were not lending because I was a new company. I had to get my capital from investors, from private investors. And so I was out trying to find investors, and I didn't really know anyone that was willing to provide capital for my startup company. Except I had a friend who knew me, and I says, "Hey, I'm looking for, I'm starting this company. I'm looking for an investor that will invest with me, become a partner with me. If you know anyone, let me know." And he says, "Well, actually, I have a friend who just sold his business, and he has a non-compete, and he's looking to go into something else, and he probably would be interested in construction. Why don't you meet up with him?" And so that connection was made with my then to become a business partner through a second tier connection. And so when you're looking for employment, even with the people that are really close to you that you know are not there to offer a job, let them know that you're looking for employment. Let them know that you're looking for an opportunity. And you might find that that is the best way from a networking standpoint is that you'll get your opportunity, your job through a second or even a third tier connection. Okay, so now let's talk about what to do next. Here's what I would invite you to do is I'm going to give you an invitation. Is I want you to find one way in which you can improve your networking today by connecting with 3 people this month. Connect with 3 new people this month and engage in a meaningful conversation with them. There's not going to be any reporting. If you don't do it, no one will know. But hopefully this will connect to someone here tonight or this morning. No, it's nighttime there. Sorry. If you are praying for a job, if you are praying for an opportunity, but you're not networking, you're not looking for those opportunities, it's going to be difficult for the God of heaven and earth to bless you with what you're asking for if you're not doing something. And I can't think of anything more valuable to do than to network. Look for opportunities by putting yourself out there, introducing yourself. And so my invitation is make a connection with 3 individuals this month. If you could get into the habit of getting to meet new people regularly, you're going to increase your opportunities regularly. You'll be amazed at what opportunities will actually come because of your network. No one can create it for you. A lot of people can help you with that. For example, as I shared, when I went to Cebu, one of the things that I wanted to do for my friend Felmore, who has helped me, was I wanted to introduce him to people at BYU Pathway that were there with me. That was something that I did. Fillmore, hopefully those connections will lead to other connections and be a blessing to you. Um, Increase your network. Find ways to improve your network by making connections with people. That's the challenge. That's the challenge. And maybe change your prayers. Rather than praying for a job, if you're looking for a job, pray for connections. Pray for a network that will allow for you to have those opportunities. Change that up a little bit. It might be a little bit more meaningful and might be more purposeful. Sometimes we just ask Heavenly Father to bless us for the things that we stand in need of, rather than asking the Lord to bless us to do the things that we can do to help provide for the things that we stand in need of. And networking is one of those things, is that if you're looking for a job, pray for opportunities to introduce yourself, to network. You might be surprised. Well, that is it for today. Next week, we're going to be going into talking about LinkedIn, and we're going to be spending some time of how we can treat, how you can link a resume with your LinkedIn profile, how you can write effective headlines, summaries, outlining skills, and making your LinkedIn profile more visible and more recognizable and more effective. So thank you for being here today. It's been wonderful meeting with you, and I hope you have a blessed week. And for those of you who will be watching this in the Pacific, thank you for joining. It's been great to be with you. Bye now.